Hey everyone, and welcome to this ultimate guide to sidechain. And today I'm going to show you different ways of sidechaining in your track for any genre, and you can apply it in your style. You can customize it as your own to fit your sound, to fit your mix. And we just want to achieve a clean mix with these techniques, and sometimes you don't even need volume ducking for sidechaining. There are other ways to achieve the same effect, the same clean mix without sacrificing your entire volume. So in this video I'll also show you techniques that can be used as a substitute for volume ducking. So let's just jump into it. So in front of me I have this project file open, and this is an early session of a work in progress whip that I'm finishing at the moment, and it'll come out soon, hopefully. And it has two parts, a verse and a drop. So the verse is super poppy and it sounds like this. It's super inspired from Pink Panthers, Charlie XCX, Chase Atlantic, etc. And the drop is super dubstep and super EDM. So we have two perfect examples for the techniques I'm gonna show you today in this video. So let's just get into it. So I'll start with the simplest part of sidechaining. Sidechaining means volume ducking. Most of the time, it means volume ducking. We use it for volume ducking. And louder genres of music like EDM, dubstep, the main focus of the song is the drop, the drums in the drop, and the main sounds like the bass sound or a synth, a lead solo, could be anything. And what sidechaining does is ducks the volume of other background elements or even the main sound sometimes to highlight the drums or the main sound. Okay, and it creates a sense of dynamics in your mix. Okay, so first of all, I'll select all the tracks that need sidechaining. This is the main bass sound, and these are the sub layers to the main bass, and they're all going through this group called sidechaining. So first of all, I'm gonna apply a volume shaper. For a free alternative in Cubase, we have this new thing called FX Modulator. It's like an insane version of Shaper Box by Cable Guys, but it's really cool. It got like different modules, and I can make a whole video about this, how to make sounds, how to use it for sound designing and stuff. But anyways, for this video we're gonna use it for sidechaining, and so I'm gonna use the volume module. Set the shape like this, a shape like this, and the time being 1/8 notes. And I'm gonna press this MIDI button so that it triggers only when a MIDI signal is sent. So I'm gonna make a MIDI channel, name it trigger, and send it to the sidechain FX modulator. I'm gonna use the kick, the kick MIDI pattern, because we need the sidechain on every kick and snare. So I'm gonna copy and paste here. So hopefully it's in C. It is in C. So let's go. So I have these triggers laid down, and in the FX modulator window, we have to make sure the MIDI mode is set to cycle and not on hold, so that it only cycles through it once. So we got this. We have to adjust the shape a little. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so after reshaping it a little, we got what we need. It's sidechaining. It's doing its job, and you can even use the new Kickstart plugin. It's really cool. The MIDI and the anti-click thingy. It's so awesome, so good for not clicking. Anti-click. Send the MIDI to Kickstart in sidechain. Thank you. If you don't want to use any plugins, you can just use your volume automation here. You just automate your volume here. Go to 0. Make the shape a little like this. And copy and paste it during the triggers. You get a little more control using this way of sidechaining, because now you can use any shape for any part of the song, and just you don't have to be dependent on changing the shape in your plugin. You can just change the shape in your volume automation. And if you don't have any volume shaper plugin, or you don't want to automate your volume, you can even use a compressor and set your sidechain to the drop kick. And oh my god, no. Yeah. And then see the magic. Set it as a fast attack and fast release. I'm not a fan of using compressors for my sidechaining because I just don't prefer it. It's not my way of doing things, but you have a choice. You can go ham with the knobs and just make something crazy, I guess. So these are some of the ways you can use to sidechain the elements in your EDM track, something that's more heavy and loud, to create more space for your drums and your main synths. So as you can clearly see, there's no restrictions. There are a lot of free options for plugins, and you don't even need a plugin. You can just simply go and automate your volume as I showed you earlier. Okay, and that's it for the sidechain part. And now I'll show you a substitute that I use often instead of sidechaining my whole sound. And it comes from this part of the song. So it's really acoustic sounding, it's really nice. The drums mainly consist of a kick, a percussion type snare, another snare, closed hi-hat, a percussion loop, more percussions, and that's it. A melody loop that I made myself, piano, a pad that's going ham because of the FX modulator that I told you. Without it sounds like this. With FX modulator it sounds like this. I fucking love this plugin so much. So anyways, that's the little breakdown of this section. And for the sidechaining part, sometimes you don't need sidechain. I'm not sidechaining my bass to the kick because the bass sounds really good. It has its own pattern, and the kick has a pattern too. And but I don't want my bass to be silenced every time the kick hits, because the pattern gets interrupted, and I want both of them to be audible and clear. So what do I do? As you can see, the bass and the kick are fighting for space here, just how your siblings fight for your parents' attention. That's similar. Is it too dark for YouTube? I don't know. So anyways, so I'm gonna use an EQ to duck the fundamental low frequencies of the bass that the kick is using, so that they don't fight each other and the kick gets its short span of attention and the bass still gets its low release. So how do I do that? I'm gonna create a new instance of Frequency. You can use something like Pro Q3 or whatever. I use Frequency mostly because it's amazing. The response is amazing. It's so surgical. I can go insane with this. So I'm gonna set it to low shelf, standard EQ. Standard low shelf. I'm gonna cut this part a little. Yes. And this part a little. First, we'll view this individually, not the master thing, but individually. And enable the dynamic section, so it's a dynamic EQ. I'll set the ratio a little less, slow attack, fast release, yes. And then I'll enable sidechain in my frequency plugin and set my sidechain input as the kick. So the kick is playing here. So I'm gonna set my sidechain input to sidechain 1, and I can use multiple sidechain inputs. As you can clearly see here, there are 8 sidechain inputs that I can put here, and different sidechain inputs can sidechain different parts of the EQ spectrum. It's insane, I'm telling you. And when I hit play, you can see the first band taking the input signal from the kick and sidechaining only this part of the frequency spectrum. And there are a lot of sidechain inputs to choose from. You can add your snare, your, I don't know, kick 2 if you have, kick 3, kick 4, anything. And I'm going to use the second band to surgically use the dynamic EQ again. Use sidechain input 1 and play. Without dynamic EQ. With dynamic EQ. And this way you got a really clean ducking movement going on and a clean mix without sacrificing the entire volume of your bass or anything you use it for. It's a really good substitute for sidechaining because you don't want your elements to be silenced most of the time. Sometimes in the verse, sometimes in, and a lot of pop productions I don't sidechain all my elements. I use dynamic EQ to subtract the frequencies that cause the problem, the phasing problem, or just annoying clashing issues. So that's it for the ultimate sidechain guide. Hope you learned something, and tell me about the ways you use to sidechain the elements in your songs, so the people in the comment section can learn it as well. Learn from everywhere. And make sure you like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the bell icon so that you get notified every time I post a video. And I'm gonna see you in the next one. Bye bye.